guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video, and today we are going to take the LR Gods team into the Wicked Bloodline Red Zone and sweep all the stages with no items. Now, this was actually pretty tough with the Gods team. The Gods are certainly a ridiculously powerful character, no doubt about that, but they can't do everything themselves, right? Like, they 99% of the time are not a slot 1 character, so it's like they need a lot of help. We need certain things to move their way. Another thing that happens is I do feel like the Gods almost borderline could be overrated because of how impactful Tech God Goku can be. Just as it happens to be the case right now, most of these top bosses are movie bosses' enemies. A lot of the strongest, like literally the 2 strongest Red Zone fights are movie bosses, right? So it's like God Goku is able to be a huge role in these fights. Well, a fight like against Full Power Frieza right here, we can't use God Goku. He will get absolutely obliterated in here. So this is where it opens things up to be a little bit tougher. Most of these fights in the Wicked Bloodline Red Zone with this team were actually incredibly difficult. It only, I think, the Mecha Frieza and King Cold and then the AGL Metal Cooler fight were, you know, done within the first, like, 2 tries or 1 try or something like that. A lot of these took many tries. So this Frieza fight, it really can be very tough. This took me, I don't know, maybe like 9 attempts or something like that. So by this run right here, I was taking this very serious. If I reset the app a bunch of times, but the way that the Gods team works, and we have a lot of characters here. We have Carnival Goku, we have both Gods, we have Int Broly, we got Tech, Kale, and Caulifla, who all these characters are stacking, right? And it's always like the orbs. I'm always trying to like work with the orbs, because keep in mind, we don't have Tech God Goku on the team, right? Who not only is a defensive god, but he really does great work with the Rainbow Orb changing. Now, we get the 50% chance, of course, that the Tech Gogeta, Goku and Vegeta could do that, but we're not able to. Now, I actually choose to not transform with them right here, right? I knew what I was doing. This Frieza fight will go on for a long time, and I am terrified of Full Power Frieza. I had so many runs. Full Power Frieza hits so hard on his super attack, and then after he supers, the damage he could do, that it's like, I just knew, like, I had to have the Scouter for the Full Power Frieza portion of the fight. So I try and hang on to Gogeta's Scouter for a long time before I activate it, which is why I'm running Kale and Caulifla on the team as well. Right, Kale and Caulifla, I don't want to say they're one of the most underrated units in the game. I don't know that I want to say they're underrated, but they are much better than many people give them credit for, Kale and Caulifla. They can work very well if the fight is either very long or we're going up against a tough EGL boss. Because their transformation condition is incredible, and what they do. It's just turn 6. You hit turn 6, you know you have your transformation. When it's like not like a bunch of conditions stacked onto each other, these transformation conditions, they're just so much better. At this point in the game's history, I'll take like turn 6 over like 3 super attacks and 7 hits and like all these different factors, which, you know, can just all be annoying. I'll just take the guaranteed, like, you know when you're going to get it. Now, when they transform, they also heal. So the combo of Tech, Kale, and Caulifla, thank God we got a number of super attacks with Broly, and we're just able to live. Now, I don't know, this Gogeta unit, if they didn't double super here, we might have died. I don't know. This was very, very close. I thought potentially I was going to eat an L. You know, I was going to get greedy trying to, you know, go for as long as possible. But Tech Kefla, this is where they really can sort of like shine, right? We get super deep in the fight. They've stacked up a bunch, so they're over 400k defense, which is really good. Because remember, once you transform into Kefla, Kefla gets a 50% chance to dodge. And I believe Kefla, I think it's this run where Kefla dominates. Kefla absolutely goes crazy. It's either this run or the run right before this where I lost the Full Power Frieza. One of these 2 runs, Kefla dodges like 3 super attacks. Like, it's crazy, because she has a 50% chance to dodge. And, you know, in her Kefla state, she's going to be over, you know, a good, like, whatchamacallit, she's going to be over, like, 500k defense after she attacks, right, with the 50% chance to dodge after healing us. Like, Kefla can be a very strong character, right? Kale and Caulifla are so unbelievably weak at the start of the fight that people just think that they're bad. This happens a lot in the community, right? Where I feel like people are not really able to sort of, like, adapt to what's happening in the game, right? Like, opinions constantly change, like, new bosses come out, new things shake up everything. Like, you can't fall in love with one thing and think one thing in this game is always going to be exactly the way it was on release, right? The same thing with Dodge. Dodge is like, dude, like, these fights, especially these Wicked Bloodline Red Zone fights, because they're just so short. Like, besides this, the Frieza, this one is the exception. But these fights are also short that it's like you just don't have time to build up a lot of these characters in most of these turns. Now, I decided to use the God's Active skill right here because I didn't even want to play games. I just wanted to make sure I make it to the next turn. Then we could fuse with Kefla. You know, we'll heal. And then we could fuse with Gogeta. We get the Scouter. And I feel like with the Scouter for the rest of the fight, we should be good. Now, here's... I reset because I wanted to double check and make sure that I couldn't, like, break Final Form Frieza's first super attack right here. Remember, the way this Frieza works, Final Form Frieza, he could double super, and he stacks attack. So the more this guy supers right here, the stronger Full Power Frieza gets, and Full Power Frieza is a menace. Full Power Frieza is so annoying to deal with, because he just hits so hard after he supers, right? Even his normals, he is just crushing you afterwards. Now, thank God, Carnival Goku dodge that super attack right there, right? Like, people, that's another thing, people told me I'm an idiot for putting dodge on this guy. We would have taken damage right there, right? Like, this Frieza doesn't hit for nothing at all. And we didn't have our, remember, we didn't have our guard up for Carnival Goku in this turn, because we started below 50% HP, so Carnival Goku was not guarding right there. Now, the other thing I do want to point out is I believe, even though we dodge both super attacks right here, because Kefla, of course, Kefla's good, right? You can say whatever you want to, doesn't change the fact that she's good. Just because we dodge the super attacks, I believe Frieza still gets the stacks in. It's just like you doing that. Like, if you're using a stacking character and the boss dodges, you still get your stack, right? I know if a boss dodges you, it doesn't count as a super attack performed, though, for, like, LR Goku and Vegeta's exchange or the Goku and Gohan exchange. If the boss dodges, it doesn't count towards that. But once we, you know, sort of, I was able to make it to this point right here. I did blow the God's Active skills early, but I felt like it was necessary. Getting to this point, Broly at this point is going to be very good defensively, right? One of the main things, I got to make sure to get Kefla her orbs. But I feel pretty good about our chances by the time we make it to this point. It's just, Full Power Frieza, depending upon what he does, he just hits so goddamn hard, dude. It becomes very tough. And it's like, besides Carnival Goku, and I guess the STR Movie Hero Support Piccolo, it's just like a lot of the option, like, Majin Vegeta was an option for this, but like, Majin Vegeta is basically, he's borderline a fraud unless Vegeta and Trunks is on the team, man. With Vegeta and Trunks on the team, Majin Vegeta feels like a top 5 unit, but like, you take Vegeta and Trunks out, and that boy struggles big time, right? You know, the Resurrection F Blues certainly could have been an option here. This Frieza fight was tough with this team, man. Like, this was a tough one. I needed to use all of my bag of tricks to make it through this Frieza fight with no items with the Gods team, because it's just very difficult to get around all of Frieza's sort of tricks, right? His AoE has your health low, so Tech Gogeta getting his super attack is probably not going to happen, or Tech Gogeta getting his transformation is probably not going to happen. Just overall, a huge amount of issues we ran into, right? But we do get it done. Thanks to, of course, our boy Tech Gogeta and that Scouter of his. Whew. Next, we move on to this fight, the fight against Final Form Cooler. This is another one that took me several tries. Because this fight, I mean, this is not even the god's fault. This is, you know, the tough phase of this fight is int. So the gods are going in here type disadvantage, right? This is just a tough fight for the gods team to win. We do now have access to Tech God Goku against Cooler, of course, right? And we do have STR Piccolo, we got Carnival Goku. We do have a number of characters who can perform incredibly well in here. I lost, it was like 4 runs in a row or something like that, where I was actually killing Cooler, this first phase. I was killing him within the first 2 turns, and then I'd have the gods on turn 3, and they're eating 400k per normal. Right? Like, because the thing about the 7th anniversary LRs is, after their guard runs off and before you transform, they're frauds. So it's like, if I would get to Final Form Cooler on turn 3 with the gods on rotation, basically it's an automatic L. Like, unless I 3 dodge or Cooler chooses not to attack, like a certain spot of the rotation or something like that, it's just an L, right? Not much I could do about that. And of course, you know, here we bust out LR Goku and Vegeta. I didn't use them against Frieza, because after, like, if we would get, in the Frieza fight, we're babying so many characters that have to stack. And then also Goku and Vegeta, if we get bad luck with where the enemy attack RNG placement is, if Goku and Vegeta aren't transformed and don't, like, double super against full power Frieza, it's just auto death. So, like, I chose just not even to bring them because I was babying too many characters that needed to stack and stuff like that, right? But with this fight right here, it was just very tough. Like, we get to Final Form Cooler very fast, and he just does so much freaking damage, right? This is like if you're getting to the final phase of Omega Shenron on turn 3, except he doesn't do a countdown super attack. He's just firing them bitches off at will, right? And just does so much damage. And see, like, look at this. No attacks in the middle slot. You know what that means? No Goku and Vegeta transformation, probably, right? Like, that's where they get very frustrating. Ain't no way. Dude, Goku and Vegeta were in slot 1 right there. We were dead. Like, we lost. Right? Like, it's at this point, like, it is what it is. You know, you need them to get a lot of those hits turn 1, or it's just not going to happen. So there's the Cooler fight, right? It's very tough. Cooler does just so much damage. So it's like, you know, we just need to get some good luck. You know, we're going to need some dodges, maybe Carnival Goku reviving, maybe Carnival Goku's active skill we can use to sort of do the attack break on Cooler's super attack. You know, stuff like that, of course, can really help. Oh, yeah, the other thing that happens is in this video, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta sells for me so hard. Right here, I was so pissed because it's like, okay, like, we're going to die here. But Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta should get some good damage in first. But no, he just gets instantly eradicated. Gogeta, dog, please. He could have countered that, triple supered, and just done billions of damage to this guy. Instead, he just sells right away like that. Like, Gogeta, please, man. And he does it in another later fight, too, man. But it's alright, it's alright. So there we go. We get our revive. Oh, okay, that's... See, yeah, good luck like that is exactly what's needed, right? You know, just some really good situations. I don't think Goku and Vegeta could not take hits from this Cooler. I think we got worst case scenario. This is the problem with this Goku and Vegeta, man. You get to these final phases of these big fights and you don't get good luck, and then their passive wears off and they're a sitting duck, right? At least with the 7th anniversary LRs, and one reason I definitely consider them better is because with them, you are never stuck in their base form. Imagine if the gods or the Super Saiyan 4s couldn't fuse because you had to take hits, right? Like, they would be 100 times worse. The transformation condition for Goku and Vegeta is just so bad, and when you're going up against these, you know, bosses that are doing over 1 million damage, you can't survive with them in base and their passive off. It just it doesn't work, right? So there we go. There's the Final Form Cooler fight. Alright guys, next we are moving on to the fight with Mecha Frieza and King Cold. Now this fight is just very, very easy, right? Not really too much to talk about. This is, you know, sort of like a breather or, you know, a free pass sort of halfway through the fights. Basically, like, these guys just don't do damage, right? Like, full power Frieza is, you know, depending upon how many super attacks he's getting, he's hitting, like, Cell Max out there. Final Form Cooler hits like Omega, right? The Metal Coolers are hitting like Red Zone Bully and Omega. And then you get Mecha Frieza and King Cold, who do like half of the damage of all the rest of the bosses. It's just so weird. The only real gimmick that, you know, only noteworthy thing to worry about here is the fact that King Cold does seal every turn, but it's really not an issue if we're just bringing really strong characters, right? Like, we're just going to bring our strongest characters, and we're just going to try and blitz Mecha Frieza and King Cold before, you know, they get a chance to do anything super crazy. LR Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku could work pretty well in a fight like this, by the way, because don't forget they attack break when there's multiple enemies, right? So active skill or super attack or something like that, like, we can do some attack breaks with them. You know, so keep that in mind about the LR Super Saiyan 4s, right? This is the only red zone fight where there's multiple enemies like this, but if they drop another imagine if there's a red zone fight against Goku and Vegeta, where they were separate enemies. The LR Super Saiyan 4s would probably be very impactful in that, right? Because remember, the attack break is just such a powerful ability that we can make use of. So there we go. There's the Mecha Frieza and King Cold fights. Definitely not very tough. Pretty easy fight, all things considered. Alright guys, now we're moving on to AGL Metal Cooler. Now, the Final Form Cooler fight is just like the worst possible matchup for the gods. So difficult. Again, like the worst possible matchup for them. This is like the best possible matchup for the gods. The Gods team is, like, this... I think this is, like, the easiest I've beaten this Metal Cooler fight, right? Like, this is the one fight that was causing me to struggle with Final Form Cooler and LR Metal Cooler's teams, right? Which makes sense, because AGL Cooler can sort of lock down Final Form Cooler before he's able to fully build up, right? Like, it makes sense. But in here, it's just, like, literally one good turn by the Gods, and half of Metal Cooler's health is gone, right? Like, just in the blink of an eye. And we were able to just build up with all of our strong characters. The thing that's funny, like, the Gods are such a counter to this Metal Cooler boss that we actually eat a super attack right here on the Tech Gogeta unit. Our rotations weren't great, but Tech Gogeta right here eats a super attack, so we're not even able to fuse into Gogeta in this fight, and this is still just an absolute blitz that we do against Metal Cooler. He gets destroyed so fast. I think it's like Metal Cooler, like, he dies in, like, 2 turns or something like that. Like, it's just, we just come in here with all these powerful tech characters, including 2 copies of the Gods on the team, and Metal Cooler is just turned into rice within a second, right? Like, there's nothing he can do. Like, he just gets blown away by these blasts, and he's done. So, there's the Metal Cooler fight. You know, this is why I do enjoy going through these, red zones with all these different teams, by the way. Again, with the Cooler teams, which are really, like, you know, the best team in the game, probably just besides Vegeta and Trunks' team. And it's like, you know, with Cooler's team, like, this fight was tough. And then the Gods, like, I think this took 2 tries. The first try was just because I think the Cyclopean Guard just caught me. Happens, right? And then this is the first time I make it to Metal Cooler, and I obliterate him in 2 seconds. It's like, all right, bye, buddy. Yeah, because, yeah, here's why. Right, they pop that active skill, guaranteed crits for the turn, and then they go absolutely crazy, and before you know it, Metal Cooler is out of here in seconds. Alright guys, next we are moving on to the Metal Cooler core fight. Now this is a brutal fight. This is another fight that can be very tough for the Gods team, right? We have 2 copies of the Gods on the team. Remember, against the Metal Cooler army, you have to live for 3 turns. So I had several runs happen where the Gods died on turn 3 for me. Again, if the Gods end up against an int red zone enemy on turn 3 before you could transform after their guard wears off, it's GG. Like, they're dead. Like, there's nothing you could do unless that, like, slot is not attacked. I did have that happen a couple of times here. This fight is just hell. This is an insanely tough fight. Because the Metal Cooler core, it's just like the Final Form Cooler, man. You get into this fight, and these bosses, they just do so much damage. It is so difficult to survive. When you're not using items, when you're not using support memories and stuff like that, it is just such a challenge to survive against how strong some of these bosses are. And some really great options who could dominate in this fight for us, are not on the Gods team. I really want, like, STR Namek Goku is such an amazing option for this fight. And he, of course, is not on the God's team, right? Movie Heroes or Beyond Super Saiyan, because Namek Goku just goes Super Saiyan 1, right? So we're not able to use him. The good thing about this fight, though, is this fight is sort of designed for Goku and Vegeta. So the Metal Cooler Army, they do more attacks in this opening round than basically like any Red Zone boss does in almost any single phase. And the reason it's designed this way is that you can transform with Goku and Vegeta. So, you know, this is a fight really made for this character. We triple super turn 1, too. Yeah, so, like, watching this back, it's clear how this became RW, right? Like, Goku and Vegeta getting all their attacks in. They ate that pretty well. Now Carnival Goku can get a stack in, right? We still have his Revive available to us, which looks like we're not going to proc on this turn. And then, again, it becomes very obvious how, like, this is a winning run when, like, Goku and Vegeta seems like we'll be able to transform them early. I was able to get Pikkon sort of in a good spot to where we were able to pop his Ghost Usher as well. And then we just can try and do a lot of damage, right? So there we go. Not really too much to say in terms of, like, strategy and stuff like that for the Metal Cooler Core. It's just, he's really tough, right? Like, just pray. Just, you know, get 3 dodges off. I mean, I feel like you gotta get some dodges on this guy's super attack. Because even characters who can really tank, like, you know, Carnival Goku and Piccolo here, like, they eat, like, you know, 300, 400, 500, sometimes 1,000 damage from this Metal Cooler Core super, even when they're guarding and stuff like that. So this guy just becomes such a nightmare to have to deal with. Don't forget Goku's attack break right there. I feel like, is this a turn? I think this is a turn, actually, where that might have broken Metal Cooler's super attack. I think it did, because I don't think he supers here, right? Does he? Maybe he does. It doesn't matter, because we're going to be able to revive anyway, but it's just like there's certain things that, like, really, like, you're able to no item these when, again, we would do something like, you know, like use Goku's active skill and then break a super attack, like, right at the start, right? That's one very big strength about Goku's active skill, and also Final Form Coolers, right? So, yeah, here's the Metal Cooler Core fight. Just definitely a big-time struggle. Just going to need a lot of dodges. We're going to need a lot of luck that he doesn't seal, right? I had several losses because he just kept sealing the gods. And the gods, I mean, if they don't, they suck defensively if they can't super, right? Because remember, their 18 key, they get 100% defense. They double their defense. And then on their 12 key, they get 50% defense. And they're always double supering at least, right? So they're getting hundreds of thousands of defense per super attack. And then if he seals them, it's just like, just pray that they get their dodges off, or you're dead, right? I had several runs sort of just bothered nonstop by the shenanigans like that. But there we go. There is the Wicked Bloodline Red Zone, no items with the Gods team. The Gods team is the hardest team by far to do this with so far. It was even, this was harder than it was to do it with Carnival Goku's team. So, we'll see. This one was a bit tougher than I was expecting. The Wicked Bloodline Red Zone, it doesn't play around. It can be pretty tough at points. So, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.